Pause for a moment. Close your eyes for 2 seconds and try to listen to the sound of your own mind. Can you hear it? Maybe not. Maybe it sounds more like a gust of wind, a whirlwind of thoughts that never stop spinning. Ideas, fears, doubts, repetitions, like dry leaves caught in an invisible cyclone. Have you ever felt this? That sensation that your mind never turns off? It's like being trapped inside a labyrinth with flickering lights. You try to find the exit, but every path leads back to the same point. Anxiety. Now take a deep breath, because this exact moment, yes, right now, might be the curve where your road begins to change direction. And what I'm about to tell you, no one told me. I had to get lost many times to discover it. Carl Jung, one of the greatest explorers of the human mind, believed that within us lies a hidden map. It's not a paper map with arrows and trails. It's more like an internal compass, silent but precise. He said that the unconscious holds the answers that the conscious mind cannot hear amidst the noise. And here's the mystery. This map is always active. It manifests in dreams, in recurring thoughts, in sensations that seem to have no explanation. But few know how to access it. Jung called this process dialogue with the unconscious. And when you learn to listen, you begin to understand why your mind races so much and, more importantly, how to calm it. Imagine having an honest conversation with the part of you that sabotages you. Imagine that behind the anxiety, there is a voice trying to protect you. Only, it's using the language of fear. When you learn to translate this language, everything changes. For years, my mind was a battlefield. I lived at war with myself, over-planning, trying to predict every detail, revisiting old mistakes as if I could rewrite the past. Sleeping was difficult. Silencing the mind, impossible. And the worst part, I thought this was normal. That this was just the natural way of being someone responsible, someone who thinks before acting. But deep down, I was being consumed by a silent cycle of mental exhaustion. That's when I delved into Jung's ideas, mixed with Stoic wisdom, the lightness of Taoism, the compassion of Buddhism, and the practical clarity of positive psychology. There, I began to see. I didn't have to live in this invisible prison. I found a method, simple but powerful, that taught me to dialogue with my own mind. And when I started applying this, it was as if a fog finally dissipated. And it's exactly this gift that I want to give you today. Welcome to a journey back to yourself. It's not a magical journey nor an instant solution, but it's real. And it starts with something simple. Looking inward with curiosity, not fear. Perhaps you've already found yourself lying at night replaying every phrase said throughout the day, or maybe mentally constructing 1,000 possible futures, most of them filled with problems that will probably never happen. I understand. And more than that, thousands of people live in this mental loop every day. But here's the good news. You don't have to continue trapped in this whirlwind. There are paths, techniques, and above all, there is a new perspective. And if you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step, recognizing that you deserve a clearer mind and a lighter heart. Today, we will explore one of the greatest legacies left by Carl Jung, a simple but deeply transformative trick that he called dialogue with the unconscious. For Jung, our conscious mind is like the tip of an iceberg. The largest part, the one that truly steers the direction of our life, is hidden beneath the surface. He believed that it is in this deep space that our fears, patterns, impulses, and also our solutions live. The unconscious is not an enemy. It is like a sage who speaks in codes, through dreams, repetitive thoughts, and sensations that arise out of nowhere. When we learn to listen to this voice, we stop being hostages to our thoughts and become navigators of our own minds. And here's the most beautiful part. This trick doesn't depend on difficult books or years of therapy. It can start now with breathing, attention, and a little courage to look within. And I will guide you through each step. So let's take the first step together. And before we continue, if something here already makes sense to you, do this. Leave a like and comment which thought most insists on returning to your mind. It can be a word, a sensation, or just an emoji. This isn't just to help me. It's to help the algorithm understand that you want more content that nourishes your consciousness, not your anxiety. And there's more. Those who interact with the video stay longer exposed to their own awakening. It's like planting a seed of change, and the simple act of commenting can be the first step for it to flourish. So, comment below. Which thought visits you more than it should? At the end of the video, I'll give you a practical challenge based on this, but for now, breathe and come with me. Close your eyes for a few seconds. Breathe deeply. Now think of a thought that won't leave you alone, the one that keeps spinning, returning, insisting. It could be a worry about the future, a past mistake, or even a doubt you haven't had the courage to face. Now imagine that this thought has a voice. And more than that, imagine that it's not your enemy. It is a part of you trying to protect you from something that once hurt. Only it has learned to do this with fear. And fear often imprisons us more than it protects. Ask this thought, what are you trying to show me? With kindness, with patience, maybe even with a smile. This is the beginning of the dialogue with the shadow. And believe me, this simple gesture can begin to change everything. Let me tell you the story of Lucas. He is 28 years old, works as a developer, and for a long time lived hostage to an invisible cycle. He spent nights reviewing every line of code as if his life depended on it. But it wasn't passion, it was fear. A silent fear of making mistakes, of disappointing, of being discarded for not being perfect. This fear came from afar, from a place so deep he couldn't even name it. It was like a hidden voice that said, if you're not impeccable, they'll realize you're not enough. One day, Lucas decided to do the shadow dialogue exercise. He wrote down his most insistent fears as if giving voice to a wounded part of himself. And then he responded to each one as a wise old friend, with clarity, with patience, with acceptance, as if saying, I'm here, you can stop shouting. This simple gesture changed everything. Lucas understood that his overthinking wasn't a defect. It was a disguised plea for protection. Today he continues to code, but now in peace, with presence, because he learned that error is not a threat. It's just a step on the path. Now it's your turn. Take a piece of paper, or just close your eyes and think for a moment. What is the thought that most insists on visiting you? The one that returns when everything silences. That appears in the shower, in bed, in the middle of any conversation. It could be a worry about the future, a hidden fear, or even a doubt you avoid looking at. Now imagine that this thought has a form, color, voice, that it is sitting in front of you waiting to be heard. You don't need to judge it, just listen to it. Ask it silently. What are you trying to protect me from? And then, respond as a friend would, with understanding, without pressure. It may seem simple, but in this small gesture lies a liberation. Because when you embrace the thought, it stops being an intruder and becomes a messenger. Now that you've found this thought, let's open a space to truly listen to it. Let's do this with something simple, but powerful, 3 breaths. Because the unconscious doesn't respond to haste. It responds to presence. Breath number 1. Inhale deeply for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. As the air leaves, imagine the tension draining like warm water over your shoulders. Breath number 2. Just focus on the moment, on the sound of your breath, on the touch of the air coming in and out. Nothing else matters now. Breath number 3. With your eyes closed or looking at a fixed point, ask your unconscious, what do I need to know to let this thought go? Be silent for a minute. Don't force it. Just listen. Maybe a word, an image, a sensation will come. Trust. Because sometimes what seems like a whisper is actually your truest voice. Emma is an entrepreneur, 35 years old. She had a restless mind that wouldn't rest even when her body begged for a pause. At night, while the world slowed down, she sped up. 1,000 decisions not made danced in her head, and with them, guilt, doubt, exhaustion. Until one day, Emma decided to try something different. Before sleeping, she took the 3 breaths, and with her eyes closed, she asked the unconscious, "Show me what I'm ignoring." She didn't expect a magical answer, but she woke up with a recurring thought, a clear idea, almost obvious, that had been appearing in her dreams, and that she always ignored. Following this intuition, Emma closed a partnership that transformed the course of her business. She learned that the unconscious speaks. It always has. The difference now is that she knew how to listen. Let's try this now, together. Sit comfortably, relax your shoulders. Imagine your mind as a turbulent lake. And now, with each breath, you will calm these waters. Breath number 1. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Imagine small waves subsiding. Breath number 2. Keep your focus on the air coming in and out, as if you were just a floating leaf. Breath number 3. Now, ask internally, what do I need to know to bring peace to my mind? Be silent for a moment. Maybe an image, a word, a memory will come, or perhaps a new lightness. If something comes up, write it down. If nothing comes, that's okay. Sometimes the mind needs silence before it speaks. Over time, you will realize it's not about eliminating thoughts, but about building an inner space where they no longer control you. And that's where resilience comes in. The ability to remain standing even when the mind tries to knock you down. The Stoics called this amor fati, the love of fate, accepting what cannot be changed, and focusing on what is within reach. Jung suggested that by integrating our errors, traumas, and shadows, we strengthen the psyche like someone strengthening a muscle, not with escape, but with presence. Positive psychology calls this post-traumatic growth, and Buddhism adds, cultivate compassion for yourself, like a gardener cares for a wounded plant, without haste, but with firmness. Because every difficult thought can also be a seed of wisdom if you have the courage to care for it. Raphael is a teacher, 42 years old. He has always been dedicated, but behind the dedication, there was something more, a constant tension. Before each class, he reviewed everything several times as if preparing for a trial, and not for a meeting with his students. The truth? He wasn't afraid of teaching. He was afraid of making mistakes, of not being good enough, of someone realizing that behind the authority, there was a human being with doubts. That's when Raphael began to apply 2 principles. The first, from the Stoics, listing what he could control, like his preparation, and letting go of what he couldn't, like others' reactions. The second, from Jung, looking at his mistakes as integrated parts of the journey, not as cracks that needed to be hidden. Over time, Raphael stopped fighting the idea of failure. He understood that error doesn't diminish the master, it reveals the human. And when he finally allowed himself to be imperfect, that's when he became an even better teacher. Today, Raphael teaches with lightness, not because he has eliminated all his anxious thoughts, but because he has learned to converse with them, to separate them like one separates the wheat from the chaff. And this is the practice I invite you to do now. Take a piece of paper, or think silently. List 3 thoughts that usually trap you in the cycle of overthinking. Now divide them into 2 groups, those you can control and those you can't. Look at the ones you can control and choose one, just one, and think, what simple action can I take today to alleviate this thought? Then look at the others and say mentally, I release you. There is a place where overthinking simply does not survive. This place is not in a cave in the Himalayas, nor in a silent retreat in the countryside. It is here, now, in this exact moment when you breathe. Buddhism calls this mindfulness. Taoism calls it harmony with the flow. Science calls it mindfulness. But they all say the same thing. When you are truly present, the mind has no space to get lost in the past or drown in the future. Sophia, 30 years old, discovered this in the midst of chaos. She used the 3 breaths to return to focus when her mind began to wander. Instead of getting lost in 1,000 open tabs in her head, she learned to close them all and navigate one at a time. Let's experience this state of presence together. Look around and choose a simple object. It could be a pen, a leaf, a cup. Now hold this object in your hands. Or just observe it with full attention, as if it were the first time you've seen it. Breathe deeply, 3 times. With the first breath, feel the air as an invitation to silence. With the second, notice the object, its texture, its colors, the small details you never noticed. With the third, allow yourself to be there, whole. Nothing else matters now. This is the present. This simple moment, often forgotten, is the only place where life happens. Here, thoughts lose their power. Because you're not trying to solve the world, you're just living. We have reached the deepest part of the journey, acceptance. Acceptance is not giving up. It is stopping the fight with reality and starting to dance with it. Carl Jung said that true transformation happens when we integrate what we have denied within ourselves. The Stoics called this wisdom in the face of destiny, and Buddhism reminds us, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. It is when we look within, without judgment, that we begin to heal. Pedro discovered this after years of trying to silence his own mind. He no longer wanted to feel guilt, fear, regret. But the more he tried to escape, the more these thoughts pursued him. That's when he stopped running and decided to do the opposite. Sit with his pain like a monk before a koan and ask, "What have you come to teach me?" Let's end with one last gesture. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of a thought that haunts you frequently, the one that weighs you down, that returns, that makes you doubt yourself. Now visualize this thought as a dry leaf. It floats before you, slowly spinning in the wind. Observe it calmly. Don't hold on, just let it fall. As this leaf touches the ground, turn this thought into a lesson. Ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? And feel, even if just for a moment, that you can move forward without carrying all this. As the Dalai Lama said, turn your wound into wisdom. Because every difficult thought can be the beginning of a new version of you. You've made it this far, and that already says a lot about you. The journey through the mind is not easy. It requires courage, presence, and a rare willingness to look within. But now you know. You are not alone. That there is a path, and that mental chaos can be transformed, not with force but with consciousness. By applying Jung's trick, the practices of mindfulness, the wisdom of the Stoics, and the compassion of Buddhism. You are not just thinking less, you are thinking better. You are transmuting anxiety into clarity, shadow into light, thought into purpose. Jung, Lao Tzu, Buddha, Seneca. They all pointed to the same destination, even if with different names, inner freedom. If this touched you, here's the invitation. Like the video, comment on what impacted you the most, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. These small gestures help the algorithm, but they also spread consciousness. And tell me in the comments, which shadow are you ready to transform into wisdom? Do you relate to this whirlwind of thoughts in your mind? How does it feel for you? What thought or concern keeps coming back to your mind even when you try to silence it? Have you ever considered that your difficult or anxious thoughts might be trying to tell you something important, rather than just tormenting you? To delve even deeper into this journey of self-discovery and provide you with practical tools to calm your mind, I have prepared a special ebook. It complements everything we discussed here and guides you step by step. The link to access your copy is in the description below. And don't stop here. The journey of the mind is continuous. Keep exploring and learning by watching the other videos that appear on your screen now. They have been selected to help you move forward in your search for more clarity and lightness in your life. And now remember, this is your moment. Breathe and feel this peace.